Hi everybody, this is Cecilia Maida with Paws Across America. Many of you have been asking me to do an action alert on the wild horses, and so that's what I'm trying to do today. I apologize for taking so long, but I've had a lot of issues with my health, etc. But basically what I'm trying to do is let people know the issues that are affecting the wild horses. Not that I'm an expert or anything, but basically to amplify the messages of all the expert wild horse groups I've been seeing and what they're telling me that is happening. And most importantly, what I'm trying to do is let you know that we can't all sit here and frantically post on Facebook and expect for this problem to be solved. We need each and every one of you to put boots to the ground and decide this is the time, this is when we're going to act, this is when we're going to be seen. And we all, most importantly, need to unite on a common messaging and basically to stop the roundups first, because we all have dueling messages on how to solve this issue, but none of those messages are going to be ever used if we don't stop the roundups now. And basically everybody knows they've been escalating the roundups recently. They've been abusing the emergency gatherer, using the droughts and everything while they're doing water drops to the welfare cattle ranchers, but they won't do water drops to the wild horses, except for maybe in one state somebody's successful and gets some water drop, and none of the other states, it's not uniform, it doesn't happen there. And then you have people like senators in Utah, like Chris Stewart. I call him the evil horse killer, you know. But anyway, he's going in with, you know, fresh pictures of dead horses to say, oh, look, they're dying, they can't live, the drought's killing them. But, you know, while they're dropping water for the cattle on the same land, which, you know, there is a drought. We all know that. That's not a, you know, brain scientists. Everybody can see it all over the news. There's a drought. Yes, there's a drought. It's affecting anything that lives and breathes, including the cattle that are on our federal lands also, that are grazing for pennies on the dollar for these wealthy cattle grazers. I call them the welfare cattle grazers because they're filthy rich and they're wanting to take over our federal lands. And our taxpayer dollars are being used to do all of this. They're using our taxpayer dollars to do multi-million-dollar misinformation campaigns saying that they're overpopulated, they're dying, etc., when they won't address the fact that what's overpopulated is the cattle that they're putting in that are just, you know, grazing for pennies on the dollar. And half of the time they don't even pay their grazing fees, like the Bundys, you know what I mean, and the Hammonds. And you know, the Hammonds, they were the group that you know, like literally did the armed militia standoff at the wildlife preserve, because they believed federal lands belonged to them so they could put their cattle on it, etc. And one was lighting the federal lands on fire. He got put in prison, and then recently Donald Trump pardoned him, and then he even reinstated his grazing fees. Everybody knows the Bundys and the Hammonds. I mean, or if you don't, you should. And then like a lot of the helicopter operators, you know, some of them have criminal records. They bring their little children with them on the things. They get very aggressive. Just in recent weeks, we've seen all the media where they were like actually hitting the horses. They're running them too fast. The little foals can't keep up. Pregnant mares are giving birth while they're running. They're breaking their legs. They're doing this in 100-degree temperatures. The list goes on and on and on and on, to where basically this is just basically abuse of our federally protected wild horses and burros, and they're using our taxpayer dollars to do it. And one thing, the biggest power that you have available to you is that you vote. And if you vote, then they will listen to you if you talk to them. So whether you email them, you write them a letter, whether you call them, whether you do rallies outside their offices, whether you do banners above their heads whenever the roundups are going on, whether you pay to get billboards done on the most important highway in your city so that everybody sees what they're doing. But the main thing is, and you need to also go to the Legislative Fund Scorecard at www.hslf.org and look at the scorecard by year. You do have to go back to the year 2018 to at least see how they voted on horse slaughter, which gives you kind of an idea how they might feel about the federally protected wild horses and public lands, etc. And then there are other issues that you can see. But the main thing is, if you're voting in somebody who's voting yes for horse slaughter and all that, then obviously, you know, maybe you don't want to vote for them next time, because if you do, we're like little hamsters on a wheel, and we're just like spinning our wheels, and then you go vote them back in, and we try again next time, and then you vote them back in, and we try them in next. So this has to stop, people. I don't care who you like, what your political agenda is, who's your president, who you voted for, who you didn't. I could care less. That has nothing to do with this. This is no, I mean, I have no agenda on who anybody votes for unless you go by that scorecard. And I know everybody hates the Humane Society because they sold out the wild horses. The Humane Society, ASPCA, Return to Freedom, we all know, we all agree, the path forward, you know, was a horrifying thing to agree to get the horses off and put them on sanctuaries where they could viably be making money off them. But it doesn't matter if you like the Humane Society. They have a phenomenally great tool on the Humane Society Legislative Fund of the scorecards. They keep track of the actual votes of who you vote in. And so if you vote them in, then you have to take your responsibility for your allowing this to continue and perpetuate while you're over here, you know, dedicating 24 hours of your day trying to help save them. I just want people to go, ding, ding, get it, get it. Anyway, so basically, that's one of the things I want you to draw attention to. But also, what we have to do, we have to rally. We have to do billboards. We can do banners flying across the sky. Imagine every time there's a roundup to where you're flying banners over, you know, or nearby where the roundups are going on, or over the elected officials' offices that are allowing it to happen in the capital of that city, or etc. in that area. You can be creative. You may have ideas I don't even come up with, but I've got rallies. They don't have to have 50 people, big or small. It can be you walking down the street with a sign on you. It can be you sitting there with a table and your signs and everything outside of a feed store or outside of a PetSmart. You can have flyers where you go put them on people's cars. You know, go door to door. And if you do that, you know, you always check to see if you have permits. You can go do rallies at your local elected officials' offices outside. Anything that you can do, but the most important thing, you can get letters and put them on the back of your SUVs everywhere to stop the roundups, you know what I mean? Some people like the hashtag thing, you know, hashtag stop the roundups now, whatever. And in all your messaging, I want people to understand, because I see people, they start focusing on the Unicoi roundups, and they focus on the Colorado roundups. And, you know, but I just want to draw attention to everybody. Whenever you're doing anything, please remember this is happening in all western states. So when you're fighting for the Unicoi, it's happening also in Colorado, it's happening in Nevada, it's happening in California. It's happening in Wyoming. They're trying to get them everywhere. So remember your messaging when you're taking the time to message and talk to a TV camera, and if you do get any media or anything, remember, while you may be talking about the Unicoi or the Colorado ones, remember to tell them, say, this is happening all over the western United States. And basically, and they're using our taxpayer dollars to do this. Why are we letting them? Get mad. You know, and always be professional, and, you know, cursing and getting angry and, you know, getting on Facebook and huffing and puffing and, you know, getting angry, and it's not going to help. But if you go and you put a rally on a card table outside of their office and you get a permit to be there and everything, I don't care if you've got 10 people or 25 people, the people that walk by that table and see your literature and you teach them about what's going on, that's what you want to do. We want this to be so common that every person in America can sit about this and talk about it at their dinner table, not just the people who are horse experts. And that's how I came into this, because I found it Paws Across America to try and amplify messaging. And to make people understand, if we all rally on the same day across America, that we appear so much bigger than we are, and it lets them know that we're rising across the country, and we're not going to take this anymore. But so it doesn't matter if you go, oh, I'm going to do a rally, but I can only get 10 people. Oh, I'm going to do a rally and I can only get 5, and I'm just going to be going to my city council office, whatever. If you try and get the media, the news media there, the newspaper media there, have somebody, if you can't even get media, have somebody you know video you, post it on Facebook, go live while you're there. Do anything you can. The main thing we want to get people to see the plight of the wild horses. So for over 3 years now, I've been just posting obsessively into my Paws Across America groups in all 50 states, which normally focused on, you know, dogs and cats and the issues affecting the wolves or any kind of other issues and action alerts we came up with, and trying to educate people to vote pro-animal welfare candidates into office, and also to teach people that if you don't like the laws in your town, in your city, if dogs are on chains, or if, you know, horses are being rounded up, or whatever is going on, if they're trucking wild horses through your town on the back of an 18, you know, in a tractor trailer truck heading to Mexico, if you don't like any of this stuff, then what you need to do is you need to go to your local city council office. And you need to make an appointment personally with your representatives and your senators. And for many of you, some people don't even know who those people are. You can go to www.whitehouse.gov and enter your zip code. It will tell you. But usually you have 1 House representative and 2 senators, and that's how it usually works. And they have local offices in your community, and then they have their offices in Washington, D.C. And so, but that's how you become effective. So you call them and go, hi, I'd like to make an appointment. You know, you can go alone, or you can bring a friend. And then, you know, you can hold a rally, you know, get a permit and ask them, how do you do a rally? Just get a permit from, you know, your capital there, and your elected offices, and say, you know, where can I put it? How many people can I have? Can you stand on the sidewalk? Do I have to be on the grass? Blah, 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 blah. And then you can even ask for your senator to sponsor you. And if you do that, usually they'll provide you with a podium and a microphone and electricity and all that kind of stuff if you're being just sponsored to be out there. And I mean, I try and do that if I can. But if I can't, it doesn't matter. I just get out there with my card tables and I make my own signs and everything. And then I try and cut the media to show up. I try and get the newspapers to show up. And if they won't, then I have somebody videoing me and trying to go live. I'll do anything to be seen. But the main thing is we all have to do this, not just me. And if we can all unite, and one thing I will have to say though is when I got involved in as a volunteer, I noticed that a lot of the wild horse people, you know, they all have, like I said, dueling ways to solve this, but a lot of them also don't get along. And so a lot of them are always you know, why are you sharing their person? Why are you doing this? I don't like that person. We don't like this person. But I want people to know we need to erase all of that right now if you want to win this battle. Because right now we must unify on one message and one message only, and that is to stop the roundups now. And also, I will say that you can add stop the roundups and the flawed adoption incentive program now. And the reason why we have the power to say that is because my senator here, Dianne Feinstein in California, in the recent months, she actually did a letter, which I was so excited about, saying to halt the adoption incentive program because of the fact the allegations that they were being sent to slaughter. And so because she did that letter, you can also, when you contact your representatives, you email them, you call them, any time you do it. And you should get in the habit of doing it like weekly. But you tell them that you want them to, you know, join Senator Dianne Feinstein on the letter to halt the adoption incentive programs until they can thoroughly investigate what's going on, because of the allegations that they are being brought across to Mexico and Canada for slaughter, which isn't an allegation. We know it's true. But anyway, since she did that letter just in the past couple of months, it's very important. Use it. Use it. I have a copy of it. You can always message me if you want a copy, and you can find it on my wall on Facebook if you just roll on down there for a while. And secondly, if you see anybody else, they say, oh, we're going to be holding a rally in Washington. When you see that, you start planning your rally in Oklahoma and Missouri and Texas and Arizona and California, Oregon, wherever you are, Utah, Denver, I don't care where you are. You start doing your rally at that moment too, so you can amplify their message of what they're trying to do. Because the more rallies that happen, if there's 3, 5, or 10, it makes you be seen more. And then those TV stations, they have sister stations, and they go, oh wow, you're doing a story on a rally on the wild horses. I'm doing one out here in Denver, and you're doing one in New York, and you're doing one in Missouri. Oh wow, they start realizing that this is bigger. You never know, it may be featured on some news station or something, NBC News Tonight or something. You never know what will happen if they start seeing us like that, and it makes us appear to be bigger than what we are. And at the same time, if you cannot attend those rallies, then you can be the one to start getting involved in doing the call-a-thon. Let's do a call-a-thon. Get as many people as you can to, on that exact same day that everybody else is rallying, call and say, hi, you know, right now there are people rallying across the United States of America to stop the roundups and the flawed adoption incentive programs, you know, sending our federally protected wild horses and burro to slaughter using our taxpayer dollars. But today I'm calling you because I could not be in attendance in those rallies. And there's just so many things that you can do. So even if you can't go to the rallies, you don't have an excuse to say you can't do nothing. Do the call-a-thons. Sit there, be the person that sits there and does a sample text email and go, hey everybody, if you would please just copy and paste this email and go to www.whitehouse.gov and find out who your representatives are today, and send this email today and let them know that we're not going to take this anymore, and that as you are sending this email, that people across America are rallying, and that we want to be heard once and for all. We want these roundups to stop now until they do a thorough evaluation of all the roundups and what's been going on, because they've been escalating. And I will say, and this has nothing to do with who you vote for, but during the last administration, they did an aggressive multi-million-dollar misinformation campaign that they were overpopulated. The reason why I say that is because, in fact, my own senator, Dianne Feinstein, who did that letter, I've been voting for her since 1984, and the woman then all of a sudden sends me a letter back and says, oh, I agree, they're grossly overpopulated, and I almost fell off my chair and had heart failure, because I had never seen her say that. But that showed she was actually falling for the same messaging that had been going on for 5 years, the misinformation campaign. And then all of a sudden we were all, yay, Deb Haaland, she's a Native American, maybe she'll be the one to help us. And then she gets in and all of a sudden she's going, oh yes, Chris Stewart of Utah, the wild horse killer of all time. She's like, oh, I agree with you that they're overpopulated. Again, not because she's an evil person and not because they are, but it's because they have been being fed this for 5 years. They're seeing it all over in all the misinformation campaigns, on the media and everything. They're having committee meetings, and every time they do, they're walking in and saying they're overpopulated, you know what I mean? They're have committee meetings. The senators are saying it. Everything, you know, the funding, they're trying to fund the roundups and everything. They're funding more round, and they actually believe this stuff now. So we now have a bigger job to do. We have to like reprogram them and deprogram them to erase what they started learning over the past 5 years with that misinformation campaign. And I mean, it was horrifying what they were doing. And then at the same time, during that Penley, who Donald Trump appointed to the Bureau of Land Management, you know, come to find out, he was never appointed legally or anything. And then all of a sudden, you know, they were talking about they couldn't get him confirmed in the Senate. They wanted him out, and then that didn't work out. And so then a governor in Missouri basically sued and said, we want him gone because of the fact that guy dedicated his life to do away with public lands. And then he just got appointed to oversee the public lands, which had our wild horses on it. And then he was saying they were feral, they were nuisance, and everything else, and doing that misinformation campaign aggressively, and very successfully, I will say. That misinformation campaign was very successful to the dire plight of the wild horses in BURRO. I mean, that's why there's so many of them disappearing right now. That's why we need you right now to act, stop, and go, I'm going to put my boots on. I'm willing to walk up and down the sidewalk with a sign strapped on my body if I have to. I'll go put lettering on the back of my windshield. I don't care what I have to do. If you know somebody who makes bumper stickers and hats, t-shirts. We could have somebody who makes t-shirts. I don't have t-shirts, but my shirt has wild horses on it because I found this up in Virginia City, Nevada, when I was up there looking for the wild horses, because I go out there and talk to them and tell them, I say, I am the crazy lady out here that's fighting to save you. And believe it or not, I'm even afraid of horses, you know, but shh, don't tell nobody that. Anyway, but I don't care. I'm still fighting to save them because of the fact I love them, and I hope one day that I get to be put on some nice horses' backs to where I won't always be afraid of them. P.S. But anyway, you got to keep it a little bit light here. The main thing is I have a little list here. Mainly, I do a common messaging. If you go down my wall, Cecilia Maida on Facebook, again, I'm the founder of Paws Across America in all 50 states. And we're all volunteers. And so also, that's one thing I want to mention, is that if you would please join the main Paws Across America advocacy, and then go to the state, whether it be Utah, Colorado, Arizona, anywhere you are, and add your friends and your wild horse people and other animal welfare advocates, you know, and get them in there, because we are volunteer driven, but the more people that are in each group, the more motivated, and we have more people to bounce ideas off of each other and feed off each other. Because, like, for instance, you may be in there and somebody starts working on the banners, and then they can explain to other people how to work on the banners, etc. And that's what we're hoping to do, is gather the motivated people and get them into a group to where everybody can start bouncing like ideals off, and they go, oh, I'm interested in the banners. And then there's a woman in here, you can like message her or talk to her. She can do a post and explain to y'all how to do a banner or a billboard, that type of deal. But we need to act now, everybody, and most importantly, we need to do a unified messaging at this time, because everybody's saying something different and everybody's posting everywhere, and I know everybody has great solutions, and everybody does like somebody and everybody doesn't like somebody, but I'm at the point now where that's just noise in the background to me. It's not helping the horses. If you want to help the horses right now, get your rally together, get your call-a-thon together, get your billboard together, get your banner together, get your flyers together, you know, go meet with your individual representatives, type your email, type your letter, do all the above would be my dream come true. But if not, do any that you can, because I know some of you work, etc. and everything. And then also remember, don't forget to go to the Legislative Fund Scorecard at www.hslf.org and do your homework. That's your homework after you watch this video of this crazy lady talking, is that you need to go and go look, and promise me you'll do this. It's just a couple of clicks, you know what I mean? And look at the scorecard and go look for your representatives and see if they have, you know, high scores or low scores. And then you can even go back to 2018 and see how they voted on horse slaughter, if you're pro for the SAFE Act, etc. But because otherwise you're just going to walk in there and pull the handle and bring, if you're voting for Senator Chris Stewart of Utah, shame on you. He's horrifying for wild horses. Horrifying. And public lands too. And there are other ones. My representative right here in Northern California, his name is Tom McClintock. He's horrifying for wild horses. And I wouldn't vote for him if he was the last human on earth. But that's the way I feel. And I don't vote just on the animal welfare issues. But the bottom line is that you really have to make some hard decisions here. Do you want to vote on one party issue, one party line issue, or do you want to save the wild horses? Because when you vote on, let's say, guns or something, and you go put in somebody, I'm voting for the guns, I don't want to lose my guns. And anyway, but now you've just put in the guy who's going to vote yes on horse slaughter and yes to removing these horses off these lands. And that's just the reality. And there's no way around it. And I'm not slamming one side or the other. This goes specifically off of the voting record of these people. And so that's why I want you to go there, so that you don't automatically get all start huffy and everything like, oh no, she's not praising the people I vote for. That kind of deal. Because I said the word guns, you're already mad at me. You're already mad. I can see it. I can already see it now. Just don't shoot me. But anyway, I mean, I'm trying to be funny here. But people take this too personally. And it isn't that. I walk the walk and talk the talk off of the prior voting record of my representatives. My representatives in the state of California, Dianne Feinstein, and previously Kamala Harris was just there for kind of a blip, just for a couple of years, so I didn't really get to see a pattern, but she appeared to have a good animal welfare voting score during the couple of years she was here. Prior to her, we had Barbara Boxer for like 25, 30 years or whatever, but she was phenomenally great pro-animal welfare. And now Kamala Harris got replaced by that Alex Padilla, and so far I've written him several letters already, because I'm they probably look at me as a stalker or something, honestly, and that's what you need to be. You need to be a stalker on your representatives and your senators. Just don't tell them I told you that. Because that's what the wild horses need. They need you to get in the habit of doing this weekly and or every few days, to call your representatives and let them know that you're not going away. We're going to keep calling them. We're going to keep putting the pressure on them until they stop the roundups and they stop the flawed adoption incentive programs, sending them to slaughter, until there's a complete review of everything, and they review the archaic AMLs, which were, from when they did the Wild Horse and Burro Act and everything, and they picked numbers of the animals that were allowed to be on the acreage and everything. But everything has changed a lot, and they're not staying with the science and with the herds and the lineage. And when imagine when they're rounding these horses up and they're running them they're running for their life. They're not picking like this. We need to get this horse, this horse, this horse, this horse to keep the lineage of the herd together. They could care less. They leave the little poor foals abandoned. I mean, they're hitting them with helicopters. It's horrifying. But our taxpayers are funding this. Then they take them off the lands and they put them in these sterile corrals where sometimes they're abusive and sometimes they're okay, but they're still horrifying because they broke up families and they're in these just corrals exposed to the elements and everything. And then they go, oh, well, we need to let them go up for adoption, or we need to get them off to slaughter or anything, because now they're costing us $1 million a year to feed them. A newsflash, you wouldn't have had to do that if you would have left them on their federally protected lands, and you would have focused on, effective birth control, non-lethal birth control, not ripping everything out of their insides, but, there are ways to do this. And then one thing we need to also, when you talk to them, I always add, I go, and what I'd like for you to do, I said, was when you have these committee meetings, I don't want it to be just the Humane Society, just the ASPCA, and Return to Freedom, the big mega nonprofits, and the AWHC. I want this to have local wild horse expert input. I don't care if they have to be done via Zoom, because they can't always go to Washington. But like the people who are focusing on the herds over in Nevada, like around Carson City, Nevada, and Pahrump, Nevada, and Reno, Nevada, those people, let those people have some input. The same thing, the people that are doing it in Colorado, the people doing it in Utah, the people doing it in Wyoming, people doing it in California, etc. Because those people know the herds. They know those horses by name. They know who's the brother and the sister, and who's the lead horse, and all the lingo that I probably am not properly using, because I'm not a total wild horse expert. I just pretend to be so that I can try and help them. I do the best I can. I try and garner information from all these wonderful wild horse experts out there, and I commend all of you. And the only reason why I make comments about the fact that everybody doesn't like each other and everything is because I bring in volunteers, and then everybody's going, well, they're all mad at me because I did this, and I did this, I did this. I felt like they were attacked. And the main thing is, that's not going to bring more people into this group and into our fold. What they need to do is understand is that There are a lot of different solutions out there, but none of them matter unless we stop the roundups now. And that's what this video is about. This is a part 1 video. Hopefully I'll do another. And I apologize for, just rambling on and everything, but I haven't done a video in a long time because most of you know that I've been very ill. I have a genetic polycystic kidney disease that I traveled the country as a poster child for. I'm in desperate need of a kidney transplant. I just had recent surgery. I'm like now about 2 weeks maybe out of a surgery that was affecting the stent thing in my arm. That could have been a very serious situation for me. And so sometimes I come online and I'll get her all motivated and everything, and all of a sudden my health crashes. And everybody goes, what happened to her? She got everybody motivated and she disappeared. I'm sorry, that's my health. And I just want to say that because that is my reality. I tried. But most importantly, I also want to let you know, in our Paws Across America in all 50 states, not only do we want you to add all your friends and your wild horse experts and other animal lovers or whatever, we're trying to get out there to where every person in America recognizes the plight of horses. And I'm now seeing people that never ever even knew anything about the wild horses sharing posts going, look what they're doing to our wild horses. And I go, finally, after 3 years, it's happening, it's happening. I'm seeing just average dog and cat people that are now sharing the wild horse posts with just as much compassion to want to save them. And that was the goal of everything that I've ever done, sharing obsessively into my paws groups. I almost let my paws groups be taken over by wild horse stuff. I don't know if my other lead admins and everybody else appreciate that. But what I did is I was strolling around and I was seeing all the stuff and I was going, wow, no one even knows about this. And that's when I decided to step in and try and use my skills from when I used to be in advertising, marketing, sales, and media and all that, before my health took me down, and try and get out there and, amplify all their messages if I agreed with them, basically, and felt they were viable. And I think anybody who's out there trying to help them is doing a wonderful thing. I also, there's like, I don't even know all the names of all the groups, but I know my main go-to people that brought me into the fold were Citizens Against Equine Slaughter, Patience O'Dowd, and Valsa Samahogsett, out of the Oregon wild horse thing. And they kind of brought me into the fold, and we were on some radio talk shows together, etc. And I was learning the plight of it, and I was going, wow, this can't be really happening. And then, and from there, I've, seen other groups that are, I don't remember the names of all of them. Wild Horse Education is one. There's, I don't even remember, a lot of them. But they're just doing phenomenally great things. But one thing that nobody's doing is nobody's rallying, doing call. We did get a call-a-thon thing going recently, and that was great. But just imagine if we had rallies going on, and if we can't do rallies on a regular basis, let's at least do weekly call-a-thons, and let's find somebody who wants to, keep everybody motivated to do this. If we, have to start a group on Wild Horse Call-a-thons, and if you're interested, join Wild Horse Call-a-thons, you know what I mean? And then get that group of people to just consistently, get all their friends motivated to do calls on a particular day of the week. Same thing, like find somebody to raise money for the billboards. Find somebody to raise money for banners. If you have a friend that's a pilot, ask them, if they know anybody who could give a discount. There's all kinds of things that you can do, and I'm not an expert, and I don't have all the answers, and nor do I have all the best ideas. I run into people with great creative ideas. So anyway, but this is my best stab, and I know I've went on for a long time, but I don't know when I'll feel up to doing another video, so I thought I'd just get it all out of me, and I feel so much better now. Anyway, but I just want y'all to know this is a time that our wild horses in BURRO are in an SOS, red alert crisis. And this video isn't a joke. This is a moment when we have to step up and be seen, and not just be seen on Facebook aggressively posting and angry. This is when they need to see us in their face, on the phone, in their offices, letters, emails, call-a-thons, rallies, billboards, banners, bake sales, flyers on your car, I don't care, sitting outside feed stores. Let every American out there know. Promise me, when you get home, you will call your representative. You can even have letters, form letters done with just their return address, and have them fill in their return address and sign them and stick them in an envelope right there. You can have a table outside of a feed store or a PetSmart where you just ask them for permission. And then all those are letters that you're getting sent to your representatives. You can do a petition. You can do whatever it is that you think you can get behind and do. But right now, the wild horses deserve it, and I know you've worked hard, but we need to become effective, not just posting on Facebook. Anyway, well, thank you for listening, and again, I apologize for rambling on. And I'm not claiming to be the expert. I mean, don't forget, join Paws Across America main group and the one for your state, and add all your friends, because we're all volunteers. And if you're interested in moderating any of these states, we, especially in the western states like, you know, the Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and all that, we don't have anybody motivated moderating those groups. We do have very wonderful Paws Across America moderators. They're motivated in all 50 states. But I'm talking about wild horse people. So, and basically that's just you approving posts and everything. And we focus on, you know, action alerts, trying to do, you know, legislation. My Paws Across America Oregon lady, she's, you know, met people that are lobbyists and everything. She's been learning how to effectively try and get legislation written. That's something that, you know, we could actually do if you're just motivated to do it. But you need just somebody to kind of steer you in the right direction, and no telling what kind of skills. If you're a lawyer and you're interested in a class action lawsuit, like let's sue the BLM, let's sue the negligent helicopter pilots, let's sue the abusive, what do you call them, the holding corrals, let's sue the places that are adopting them out to the kill buyers. Let's sue the people that are driving the tractor trailer trucks with the horses on the back that they're driving through. That you go see Thundering Hooves videos where they're actually showing wild horses and other on the backs of tractor trailers just driving right across down to Mexico to go have them slaughtered. Arrest those people, get them held accountable, sue them if you can't get them arrested, you know? They shouldn't be able to legally take our federally protected wild horses and burro across to Mexico for slaughter when it's illegal in the United States of America, pursuant to even the letter that Dianne Feinstein did a couple of months ago. And also, and by the way, just so you know, you can actually contact Dianne Feinstein's office. She's not one of those ones who won't take calls if you're not in their zip code. She appreciates hearing from everybody. And always, if you call any of these people, I don't care how much, like even Chris Stewart, he's disgusting, vile, of the earth. I mean, I think he's evil because of what he's done to the wild horses. And right now, he's got Deb Halen's ear. So one thing is you need to do is like you can contact Dianne Feinstein's office and thank her for doing that letter and let her know that you're behind it. And that lets her know and say, but would you please add the roundups? That's why I want you to call her. Anyway, Dianne Feinstein of California. And you don't have to have a zip code. If you do, use 95682. That's one I tell people to use. Look up a Starbucks in the area. Just whatever you need to do to get past the gate. But she's not like that, but I'm talking about other ones. Like Chris Stewart, if you don't like him, just use a local Starbucks and you have a zip code. And I didn't tell you to do that. Somebody else, that's my evil twin, that told you to do that. But if they don't want to talk to us, find a way to talk to them. Send a fax, do whatever you have to do. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. It's just the best I know what to do. But right now I'm just hoping that we can get boots to the ground and get moving before it's too late, because the wild horses are out of time, and especially with this. Oh, I forgot. And when you're calling, please tell them to please, due to the historical drought that we're having in the western United States, please demand that they do water drops to the wild horses that are out there as they are doing for the cattle. And or if there's anybody that needs to be removed because of the drought, let it be the cattle, not our wild horses, so that they have access to the little bit of water that's left. And tell them that the misinformation campaign saying that they are feral, they are nuisance, and that they're destroying the foliage, etc., is exactly the opposite. It's the cattle doing that. And they're actually letting cattle grazers help write legislation. It's really bad, guys, but it's going to take all of us in legislating and advocating directly to our representatives aggressively over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and demanding and tell them, saying, if you don't get this right, I'm voting you out. That's your power. That is a lot of power. It's a V. Vote. And whatever you do, and don't be not registered to vote, you know, that type of deal, because it's critical. And then go find out who you need to vote for by seeing the Legislative Fund Scorecard at www.hslf.org. And look at all the years 2018 for if you're interested in the Safe Act horse slaughter. Anyway, adios. Cecilia Maida signing out. And I hope that I see a bunch of you messaging me. And we will be creating a group. I don't know exactly what we're going to call it, but soon. But so if you're interested, just send a message to me, and or if on one of my posts that you see on my wall or something, and say you're interested. I miss a lot of my alerts though. But and then we'll be trying to gather a lot of you together. Even if you don't get into that group immediately, that doesn't mean that you have to wait to get in that group, because you know what it takes to start a rally. If not, you can also go to my YouTube channel, animal rights media lady. That also is another thing. I have a lot of videos that talk about how to do and all this kind of stuff that we did, you know, via Paws Across America before COVID. And one thing great is the banners and the billboards. Those things are highly effective with this Delta variant raging. If you can't go rally or, you know, do groups to get together, then do the billboards and do the banners. You know, we just need to keep being seen and not let any obstacle get in our way. And you need to have your representatives and your senators' phone numbers in your cell phone. And you need to have their emails right there with it. And so when you see something, and if like you get an alert, or if you see an alert to write a letter, just copy and paste that letter, edit it to how you feel about the issue, and then just take that and then send a message to your representatives and your 2 senators and just hit paste. That's what I do a lot of times, because of the fact there's a lot of factual information in there that I'm not always savvy to, but I don't always like their wording, so I just change it up a little bit. But it saves me a whole lot of typing, and I know that I've, you know, put some relevant facts in there. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful, and God bless all of you that are out there fighting so hard for our federally protected wild horses and burro and other animals. And I fight for them all, the wolves and the dogs and the cats and the bears and, you know, you name it, marine life. I'm an official Texan that moved out to California, but yes, I was converted. I am a tree hugger. Sorry, I am. But I'm kind of proud of that. But anyway, I'm now a wild horse hugger. I have, you know, even though I wouldn't try and hug one, I don't think that would be advisable. But in my heart, I hug them, and in my thoughts, I hug them, because they are the symbols of American freedom. And if you want to be free, then help save these horses. Anyway, thank you. Have a good day.